You know who didn't do that, but tweaked all of their songs to fit so well? Under Oath.
Talking about that show?
Yes, dude. I was wondering because they were like, it's going to be the whole album. And I'm like, well, how are they going to play that one song? Right? Like the Jesus song.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
That was
he starts singing.
original.
I had chills. Him on the couch. And I was just sitting there. I was like, the fact that you figure out how to do it like that.
It was a whole production, dude.
With the couches and the light.
What's going on, y'all? This is Alexander. You are plugged into the Nerd Companion.
What's going on, y'all? This is Alexander from the Nerd Companion coming at you with interesting, at least in our opinion, some music stuff that we're into. But I got my buddy Josh here.
Hey, what's up? My name's Josh. I met Alex through work. Nursing, not my first career choice. So pretty much all of my 20s played music in a signed touring band. Band's called Myka, Relocate.
Where can they find you at?
You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Apple Music. Pretty much all of the streaming platforms. I was basically, life plan, life goal. It was me and my buddies, all played in local bands from where we're from, back in Louisiana. We were all in college. I was 21. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to go to school. I kind of came up with this idea. If you have a plan B, you can't put 100% into plan A. And for something like what we want to do, we're from a small town where we want to be a signed touring band. The genre, I always call it Warped Tour shit.
Warped Tour.
Warped Tour shit. When people are like, what kind of music do you play? Have you ever heard of Warped Tour?
Warped Tour, have you heard of it?
Yeah, that's
Kind of
us.
a big deal.
We're already at a disadvantage of being from this small town. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody.
What town was that?
Lafayette, Louisiana.
Oh, that's where I was born.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Small world. But, everybody just gave a shit about bands from Ohio at the time. So me and my buddies, we were like, let's drop out. So we all quit school and said, we're going to just do this full time.
Well, if you're going to do something, you just do it 100%.
You got to do it 100%. So dropped out, started, at the time we had an old singer and then he quit because, I don't know, I guess he wanted to work for the rest of his life like I'm doing now.
Funny how
that came back on me. And then we met two of the guys, two of our two frontmen, our vocalists. We were one of those bands with a screamer and a singer. Shout out We Came as Romans for starting that. We kind of made them, they were from Houston. And being in Louisiana and Lafayette, even shows never came through, right? And the way you started picking up a fan base is you opened up for touring acts that came through. And the closest thing we had was like New Orleans. Is this venue called the High Ground back in the day. Awesome venue.
Is it still up now?
No, it's gone. I think they bulldozed it. Most of those venues are gone. And so being from Lafayette, we would get on bid to try to get on a opening show. And they'd be like, all right, you have to sell tickets. And we're like, bro,
So what does the bidding process look like?
You just put your name in the hat, basically. Hey, this is us. This is our page. Back in the day, it was still MySpace. We were like, look at how many plays we have on our songs on MySpace. MySpace is where you sent traffic, right?
Yeah.
This is where you can hear our music. And we hadn't, I don't even know what music we played at the time. It was metalcore and nothing near what we played now. So we would open up shows there. And then we decided, well, John and Michael are from Houston. We're just going to start saying we're from Houston, and kind of reinvented the band. More touring bands would come in through Houston. Okay, we'll try to get on those shows. And since we'll be a local band from there, we'll be able to get on bigger shows. And it's essentially what we did. We started building a fan base.
What year was this?
12, maybe? In that ballpark range. Started picking up traction in Houston. And this was back when they still had Fitzgerald's. They had Java Jazz.
Java Jazz.
Dude, old school, right? That shit's not even, you could buy coffee and then walk through the doors and listen to screaming people.
Yeah, I saw Yesterday's Rising there. Was the sound setup good? I just can't remember. Because you think about those old coffee houses and you're just like, man, was it really that good?
I mean, to us, it was better than like
a garage.
A garage,
Yeah.
right? So we were like, whatever. And then one of the first big shows that we played, we got to open up for Dance Gavin Dance at
Ooh.
Warehouse Live. The thing about Dance Gavin Dance, when I first heard them, bro, this is awesome. It's so weird and different. And their guitar player, first time I ever saw them, I don't even think I was in Myka at the time, or maybe I had just joined. I can't remember all the bands, but the two bands that were playing were Devil Wears Prada
Okay.
and
Classic.
Dance Gavin Dance with Johnny. I don't even think Devil Wears Prada hadn't even put out their second album yet. They were still doing Corner Fest in the dirt. And this venue is small. It's like a 300 cap room. It's absolutely packed. Sweaty, no AC, middle of summer of Louisiana,
Ooh.
in New Orleans. But that was the first time I saw them. Dude, they're way different than like what's coming out.
Dance Gavin Dance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a direction of where music was going. You had like Under Oath kind of paved the way. All right, bands will build off that. And then Prada was still trying to figure out their things. I think maybe like A Day to Remember was getting real popular at the time. But that's like more pop punk. But it was back whenever, instead of drop D, we'll play drop C. If anybody knows what that is. Just a little bit heavier. But yeah, so going back to, we opened up for Dance Gavin Dance. Huge show. I think it was like 1,000 people. And for us,
That's a lot.
it's a lot. And then we started getting some traction with some management companies, because that was like the route you would go. We're a local band. Let's try to get management. Maybe they can get us a record deal. And like, you always think like, oh, I have to get signed to a label. And that's what we wanted. Let's get signed to a label. Management basically has like a seat at the table. When you're a local band, they'll kind of guide you on like, hey, this is where we should go. You guys need to record.
In regard to sound or like,
No. Just handling logistics and kind of like pitching your name to labels, getting you deals, finding you a booking agent. And getting a booking agent was back in the day like essential on getting you on tours, because a booking agent, you would have one guy that books a bunch of big bands and he runs all of their booking and gets them on tours and builds their tour package. And then you would have somebody that works in the company. Can you throw me a favor? Hey, you have this tour. Can my band that I just started working with, they don't really have a following, but they're putting out an album. Can they open up on the tour? And you would do it for like absolute dog shit money. We're not doing it for money right now. Like, I don't care. I'm eating ramen noodles and Chef Boyardee straight out the can. Then we caught traction with Artery, which was like the go-to management company back in the day for that genre of music. Like, they managed Prada, they managed, I think they had A Day to Remember. And we went with this guy. His name was Will Stevenson. Great guy. And so that's what got the ball rolling as far as getting us on tours and getting us signed. Once we started working with them, the first tour was like a 2-week run. Everything, we would drive from Houston all the way to California to start. Back at home, like we played a local show in Houston, we could pull like 300-400 kids. But when you go on the road, nobody's heard of you. I mean, you're playing in these rooms the size of what we're in now to like 5 people.
Yeah.
And you didn't care.
Like Java Jazz.
Like Java Jazz. And it's just starting all over again, all over the country, right?
2011 still around the same time?
It's probably like 2012.
Because you're starting to see like a major push in social media.
Mm-hmm. So it's probably like 2012, almost 2013. And then eventually we got signed to Artery Recordings, which was Artery Management. They were like a big record label in New York, who their moneymaker was Kids Bop. But they had a bunch of other bands, like, and we had talked to some other labels like Roadrunner, I think Red Bull Records at some point, kicking myself in the ass. All of us should have went with them because they didn't have a lot of bands and they were going to push a little harder. And that's where the downfall was with when you're signing to a record label, right? Like especially if you don't know and you don't have anybody that's like really looking out for you in a business aspect, like a label can pick you up. Hey, we'll produce your album, loan you the money for it, and then we'll put it out there, but we're not going to promote it.
How does that benefit them?
Because they kind of just chalk it up to a loss. They're like, we'll see how it gains traction organically. So we recorded our first album in Arizona with Cameron Mizell, Chango Records. Cameron's the man. Absolute wizard. Crazy as fuck. Recording with him was awesome. We spent the entire month in Arizona. In July, in Phoenix, we had the van and a studio apartment that 6 of us stayed in, and we had $30 a day to feed all 6 of us. And we recorded this album in a month.
What did y'all live on? Hot dogs and...
So I cooked everything for everybody. So in the morning, I would make eggs and toast. In the afternoon, we would just have sandwiches. And then in the evening, I would make, like, we had a charcoal grill. I'd make, like, grilled corn with, like, hamburgers. And I would just buy, like, the big tubes of, like, 79-cent meat. Like, we were eating better than, like, ramen, but shit.
It's certainly a step up from ramen.
Yeah. Put out that album, and great experience.
You're living in this studio apartment.
Yeah.
What is the financing situation? This is basically a loan from the studio?
Yeah.
So, okay.
No, not from the studio. So the label fronts you the money to record this project.
And you're using that to allocate funds to living expenses, stuff that...
Everything.
That's great. So what is a budget look like? What are you looking at?
So they break it down in your record contract, right? When you sign it, it says, hey, the way record contracts do, they'll do a 2-album deal with a 3rd option and a 4th option. Or they might do a 1-album deal with a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th option, which is essentially saying, we'll pay for the first album, see how it does. If we want to do a 2nd album, we'll pick up the option, and then you'll sign it. And if they didn't, then you could disperse and go to a different label. But if they wanted the option, they get bid on it, right? So we did, and we didn't have a problem with them at the time. So first album, they gave us like 14 grand, produced the album, and Cameron did it for less than what he normally charged bands, but he liked our music and he wanted to produce it basically. And to pay back this loan, you pay it back with whatever percentage you guys negotiated on what they own of the record and what you own of the record. So our deal, I could be slightly off on this, but I'm pretty sure it's like Artery/Razor and Tie owned 86% of our album, which means we owned 14%. So 14% split between 6 guys. Like, I think I got like 1% because, yeah, I was there for the writing process and I really helped more in like arrangement, but like I didn't come up with the main ideas of every song. Right. So to pay back this $14,000, we're paying it back with the 14% of what we own.
Jesus Christ.
It's not like, hey, 100% of these sales are going to go to pay this back and then we'll split. It's, well, our 86% doesn't go towards covering the cost of what we loaned you at all. That's just our profit.
That sounds like a scam.
Well, that's how the record industry works.
That is so crazy.
And it gets even worse than that because that used to be just album, right? And then bands, the way they really made money, never off of albums, was like shows and merchandise.
Right.
But then obviously in the digital age, records and people stealing, and record labels were making less money off of sales because you didn't have million album sales anymore, like right off the bat. So then they're like, oh, we're going to do these 360 deals where we get record, we get percentage of your show, and we get a percentage of your merch.
Right.
So just just dipping their hands in the pockets even more. Right.
Right.
Past the financial stuff, we didn't give a shit. We were like, whatever. This is all we want to do. We're like, maybe we'll make money one day. Never made money.
But the thrill,
right? So our goal, our dream was just like, we just want to tour. We just want to play shows in front of people. We want to open up for these bands that we've been listening to growing up.
Because it's like the lottery, right? You could always get picked up and then damn, like problem solved.
Problem solved. So we put out that album. First tour we did was with The Browning, was like the headliner. It was this grueling 2-month-long tour. And we had just put out this album. And it was, I mean, the longest fucking tour.
Who puts together, that's the booking?
The booking agent. Yeah. And at the time, I don't even think we had a booking agent, or maybe we worked for, I think this one guy picked us up, but we were one of his smaller projects. So like not his main focus. Put us on that tour. And it was from like September to the end of November. We were gone forever, which we loved it, right? Like I didn't care. I didn't want to come home. I lived in Lafayette. Like, sorry. Got home, holidays, and then second tour offer, which still to this day, like some of the best people I know, really good friends, they still hit us up. Like I just saw them about a month ago. The second tour, which was, we were freaking out when we got this offer. Attila was the headliner. Icy Stars was like a co-headliner.
Okay.
And then you had Ice Nine Kills. So we were opening, right? And back in the day, you know, you agreed to a tour and like, oh, this is going to be your guarantee every night. I think our guarantee every night was like $100. And like that's to cover like, gas, which doesn't cover gas.
How many shows y'all did a week?
We were playing 5-6 shows a week.
Okay.
But I think it was like a 24 show tour in a month. Every tour is about a month long. And this was when Attila was like coming up. They already had a lot of traction. They had just put out an album. Icy Stars had just put out an album. I think it was called the New Kings Tour. For us, dude, this is going to be awesome. We had been listening to Icy Stars forever. I had been listening to Attila forever.
Attila is wild.
Wild, right? But by far, the nicest dudes ever.
I believe it.
And then, so we get on that tour and it was popping, right? But first show's like 800 kids. Second show, huge. But so we're on this tour and it's in January and this is 2014 now, right? So this is fast forward. We had all dropped out of school. I think Austin maybe finished his degree. And this was back when the Northeast had that huge snowstorm. Like it's winter. And we're playing all these shows, and first show's in like Springfield, Virginia. It's like by DC. Great first night. It's snowing. We're like, this tour's going to be awesome. Right? We're like,
Kids from Louisiana.
Bunch of kids from Louisiana. This is so great. And we had done smaller runs and smaller tours and traveled and all these things. Like before you get signed, you don't have a booking agent. You would find bands in other states and be like, hey, do you want to try to book a tour? And like, we'll go here. And we'd have shows where like, the show wouldn't even happen because the booking person for that venue was fake. And you would show up to the city and be like, there's no show. And you're like, oh, cool. Yeah, that was the old grind back in the day. Like,
how often did that happen?
Oh, all the time. We had this 3-week tour where we played 4 shows, but you didn't care, right? You just took the gamble. Whatever, dude. We don't care. We'd sleep in Walmart parking lots in a van. Life's good. Yeah, most people wouldn't say that, but life is good.
Optimism, baby.
Optimism. And so we're on this tour and we're killing it, right? We're the opening band. Nobody's heard of us. We're selling like $1,000 a night in merch and having to buy merch to get shipped to us on tour. And
Success problem.
We're popping. Like this is a great tour for us. Like, these people are, oh my God.
This is the one that you went with Attila?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you never know. You could open up for a package and nobody gives a shit about you. Like, I'm just here to see the main band, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And so this is great, which with a $100 guarantee, you know, that's $30,000 in gross. And then at the end of the tour, after paying like booking agent fees, management fees, you come home, we're like, we have $500. We basically broke even, which is good. Yeah. So then
all the meanwhile, you're still trying to pay off your loan that you're
which probably is still not paid off because 14% doesn't do anything.
Count that. It's probably just something that's not even counted for. It's like we really gotta hit up merch. We really gotta
album sales. So once that tour's over, we're like on a high, right? We're like, all right, like now we showed booking agent. That's kind of how they look at it. Like, how well did you do on that tour? Let me see what other tours I can get you on. And you kind of run off of steam, right? They can pitch you to other tours. Hey, they just did this tour. They had really good exposure. This was their sales every night. And I remember all of us were like, what the fuck? He was like, well, I'm glad you guys did really good on that tour, but we were asking what other tours that can we get on? He was, well, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So basically saying, I'm not putting you on another big tour. Even though it was great for you guys and you did really well and people obviously liked you.
That's discouraging.
What the fuck does that mean? The next tour we get was some 2-week run with cool band, but not a good demographic for us. It was Texas in July. they had been around, right? Every band on that package was just straight metal. And then here we are with post-hardcore bubblegum pop singing with screaming. We didn't sell shit for merch. We did garbage. We didn't sell shit. Didn't break even because our guarantee, I think, on that was $50. And then I think we did a couple tours over the summer. We opened up for Johnny Craig's new band, Slaves, which was okay, but that had its drama in itself. Those guys were great, but like, okay tour. And we're just, what's up? Like, we did so good on Attila, and then now we're not getting shit. And we kept getting tours like that, right? We probably toured 9 months out of that year, and we're obviously still picking up traction. We're trying to expose ourselves on the internet and whatnot. There's different egos on every tour.
Yeah, probably.
Right. And they had been doing it for a while, so we didn't really vibe with them. And then a week before the tour's over, oh, by the way, this is our last tour. We're breaking up after this. You couldn't have announced that, like, hey, this is our final tour, and that would have probably pulled more people. Right. Horrible planning. So there's a week left in this tour. Right. And we're in Colorado Springs. Is a venue you used to play out there. And we get hit up. Our manager's like, hey, there's this tour with The Word Alive and Our Last Night and one other band on it. They were like the opening band that got offered it, which was this band, I can't remember their name. They got dropped. And so this is the last minute. The tour starts in a week. They're like, do you guys want to fill in the spot? And we're like, absolutely. So we had been gone from September 2nd, and had to decide. Everybody in the band pretty much was like gung-ho. Fuck it. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. This is another big tour finally that we've been waiting for. This tour starts October 15th, and then that tour ended December 5th. So long tour. And then after that, we're starting to write our second album. We're going to go do 2 songs with a producer in LA, Eric Ron. So we're like, we're going to be gone from beginning of September and not getting home until right before Christmas. But we were like, fuck it. We don't care. It's vagabond life, right?
Yeah.
And so at the time, we were all dating people. We had to call them like, hey, just want to let you know we got this tour offer. I'm not coming home anytime soon. And everybody's stressed out about that. You know what I mean? At the time, our bass player, Luke, was, I have to get home. He was engaged at the time. I was playing guitar at the time. Fuck it. I'll play bass. We'll just have one guitar instead of me and Austin both playing guitar. And everybody's like, hey, cool. So drop Luke off at the airport the next morning. We're writing new music. We get out to start this tour. It was awesome. We were doing great. Great fucking tour. Again, we're killing it. Selling merch again. See, when we get on these tours, we do really well.
Yeah.
Booking agent, why aren't you doing this? We record, we're having a blast, right? And then we go to Eric's studio, stay there for a week, write 2 songs. And the second album, we had already decided, they gave us our money for the second album. We decided we're going to go with Joey Sturgis this time, who's the other big guy in the industry. We all started coming up with ideas. The way music's released in this industry doesn't really work anymore. There's so many bands that are putting out albums. You put out an album, and then the next month another band puts out an album. Nobody's talking about your album, right? And I started pitching ideas to the record label and like talking about, hey, what if we don't put out an album this time? We just release a new song every month for 10 months.
I see that trend.
10 months straight, right? And the way I pitched it to him was, what the biggest industry right now, and other than country, was hip hop. And that's what hip hop artists do, right? They just put out tracks. And then eventually they'll put out an album with some of those songs are on the album, but then there's new music on that album as well. So that way they're just constantly staying hyped throughout the year. So we pitched that and they were like, well, we don't think we should do that, right? We also knew that like a lot of big artists, the way they work is they work with multiple producers, right? They're writing with different people. And we wanted to write 2 songs with Eric. He had some steam and he was a producer in LA working with a lot of bands. So we wrote Nerve, which was one of our biggest songs. I think it just hit like 10 million streams on Spotify. Wrote that song, and then we wrote Idle Hands, right? So wrote those 2 songs, and the vibe of those songs is kind of different from the rest of the album, but great songs. They're my 2 favorite. And we're doing all this stuff, and then come home in January, we go record the rest of the album, right? January. Album's done. We come home, no tours. We're just sitting. Finally get the masters. It took a long time, way too long. And then finally in August, we get this like 2-week tour offer with The Plot and You and like Moths to Flames.
Okay.
Cool. Homies. Great. But like 2-week run. It's the first tour we've done in 7-8 months. Bro, we just came off of a whole year of touring. Why are we not touring still? We only wanted a small break to record this album and then get back out on the road and start promoting like, new songs. Like we're just sitting at home. We're not doing shit. I'm waiting table. That's what I did because I had a cool boss at the time would like let me leave for a tour and then come back. And we might have got another tour after that. Like, Escape the Fate and another band called Sirens and Sailors who were super close friends because we came up at the same time and did a lot of small tours together. And they're from Rochester, New York. So fun tour because hanging out with friends. And then at that time, we weren't really happy with our manager. What's
I can
happening?
see why.
What's happening? Like, you're supposed to be in the behind the scenes trying to make it happen. And we're over here pitching ourselves to tours. But then what happens, there's another guy at Artery who had hit us up before we ever even signed with him. His name's Thomas Gutches. So we ended up switching over and being with him. And I don't even think he was with Artery at the time anymore. So we jumped ship, went with Thomas. And so we did that Escape the Fate tour. It was good. Nothing. Oh my God, that was so spectacular. As far as like
you're playing second album.
No, not even yet. Or yeah, we're starting to play some songs from the second album because we had just put it out.
How long does it wait? So after you record and you get a mastered album back, how long before you start introducing new music? I'm sure
it's up to the label.
Okay.
When they want to put out new music. So we started putting out some songs before we released the album. We would send them singles that we want to release and they'd be like, no, we think blah, blah, blah. And it was so funny. We don't think Nerve is a single, right?
How does one determine what makes a good single? Like if it's...
I don't know. It's just basically opinion, educated guess. From being in the industry, Nerve is going to be one of our biggest songs. What are you guys talking about? We even had to fight them on shooting a music video for it. They were like, no, we don't think that's the song to do. And we're like, are you serious?
Music video?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me.
Oh, yeah. We have a couple. YouTube. And so they were like, no, we just don't think this is it. Flash forward, it is our biggest song and it's the only song that's hit 10 million streams. Told you. And we still laugh about that. Bro, we were so right and they were so wrong. Whatever. Sometimes you should listen to your artists.
Yeah, man. There has to be some sort of feeling someone gets when you're writing the music because you're all feeling it. And if you're all passionate, if you feel, because I'm sure there's some songs on an album that you like more than others.
Yeah.
And when you're all playing it and you're all looking at each other like, yo, this is it.
This is it. Like when we wrote when we wrote that song with Eric and then like finished it and listened to it in his studio, yo, this is the best thing we've ever written. This is insane. It's different, but like still us. Oh my God, they changed. I'm not listening to them anymore. Some bands just completely change their sound. They go from like metalcore to country.
I feel like Thrice did that.
Oh yeah.
Are these the same guys?
Yeah. Hey guys.
I mean, it was a good album, but it was.
And what happens when you do that is you're abandoning your fan base, right? So we did this tour. After that, no tours. What? We just put out this album. We've done one tour on it. We should be touring nonstop again to promote this album. I guess we'll just do our own headliner because nobody's picking us up. And at the time, we were just coming up. Siler is a band from New York. They were just coming up and we were super cool with them. And then Bad Omens.
Okay.
Who's huge right now. Kind of them getting popular on TikTok recently kind of revamped that music genre and music scene. People started going to shows again. Or they just captured a different audience that probably didn't even know about it. But so at the time they were small, had done a couple tours. And so we were told our management, hit their management up. We want to build this headliner tour package. I think it'll do really well. Our three sounds blend really well. Nobody's going to feel like, I just came to see this band and none of these other bands sound like them. Like, we're all fit. Siler's management was like, no, they're going to be busy. They have a tour. We're like, oh, fuck, that sucks. And then same thing.
But they did not know about it.
Siler was like, oh, they have a tour, yada, yada. And we hadn't hit any of the guys up personally yet, right? And then Bad Omens, who was on Sumerian Records, sorry, they have a tour at that time too. They're not going to be able to do it. And we're like, damn, dude, that sucks. And so then we ended up picking up, I think we only did a 3-band package. We picked up 2 other bands who had never toured before. So this headliner is basically just us pulling. It didn't do bad per se. Like there were certain cities that we did really well. Philly, we fucking
I bet that was fun.
It was
Philly.
great. Did really well on that, but we just didn't make money at all.
Were you making more than when you were doing the cuts?
Not really, because yes, we're selling merch, but we didn't have a guarantee because every night was based on a percentage, but the two bands underneath us have a guarantee, right? And so we had to pay their guarantee because it's contract guarantees. Bro, what is this business?
What were y'all all thinking at the time? Was there any discouragement? Was there...
It wasn't necessarily discouragement. Yo, something's not working.
Because something's not hitting.
Something's not hitting. So we played New York and we see our buddies in Siler. They come out to the show and we told your management about this tour, blah, blah, blah. What? And we are like, yeah, they said you guys were going to be busy with the tour. We didn't have anything booked and they didn't even ask us. Are you serious? Like, so y'all would have done the tour. Yes, this would have been awesome.
God damn it, bro.
Make it out to California.
Why didn't y'all contact them?
Because they don't really have a say, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right. So they can't go and do anything without, but it's just management though, right? It's
approval. But you sign in a record label. They were on a label.
Okay, I got you. I thought, okay.
They were actually on the same record label we were on. Why would you not put a band that's on the same record label as us together? Flash forward, we're traveling, going through, we make it out to LA, play a show there. Friends with the guys in Bad Omens, they come out to our show and we're talking to Noah, who's their singer. Yeah, their management said no, but they didn't even know about it. We hit up y'all's management because this is the package we wanted to build. Bro, that would have been a great tour. Like, they didn't even ask us. We had nothing booked.
That is so crazy.
So this tour that we thought of would have done great. Management and record labels were like, no, don't do it. And then never even asked the bands who would have said yes.
I wonder how common that is in the industry.
Probably a lot more than you know about. And so, yeah, our headliner tour that did okay, could have done really well, but was foiled by the man upstairs.
God?
No, management. And then after that tour, so like we were kind of already getting discouraged. What is happening? Yada, yada, yada. But right before this tour, which kind of gave us some like boost in our morale, we got offered to play this festival in Japan. So we played this, it's called, I think it was Scream Out Fest in Japan. Dude, this
was
is
Earthist there?
No. At the time,
they're kind of like a groove gent.
No, it's Crystal Lake.
Okay, yeah,
they didn't play it, but they came out and hung out.
Oh, that's what's up.
Super cool guys.
Yeah.
The tour, the Scream Out Fest was Bless the Fall, Attila, us.
How was that reunion with Attila?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had seen them several times. Like we'd be in the same cities and we'd meet up and really cool dudes. So we played this in Japan. We'd never been to Japan. Dude, the show was insane. Apparently, we were really big in Japan because we would walk the streets of Tokyo and people would stop us and be like, Myka, Relocate? And we're like, we are...
What's up, dude?
This is nuts. We play this show and it's like, I don't know, it's probably like 3,000 people who don't speak English singing our songs. Like,
that's the magic and the majesty of music, man.
Yes.
It transcends all communication, dude.
And I'm talking about full crowd going wild singing. Because we had played big shows in the States, like played another festival and we were on, it's like a festival, but it wasn't a festival on that Word Alive tour where we got added on because that other band had to drop off, where it was like Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens, Our Last Night, The Word Alive, and us. And that was like 5,500 people up in Michigan, huge crowd. And we did really well. People liked us and had known about us. And at the time, we had been playing so often that we were tight, right? You can go watch videos of that and we sound like a recording because we're just so used to playing and have our groove. So we're comparing that to this festival in Japan. I think we had just as much of a reaction and interaction with the crowd in Japan as, if not more, as like Attila and Bless the Fall. In their eyes, we were just as big. Amazing show.
That was so awesome.
Awesome. And then we stayed for the week in Tokyo, just hung out. We were riding on a high, made money off of this show because we got paid. They paid for our flights. We got paid for the show. And then we made good money off merch, right?
Which
awesome. Helped fund us staying there. And then also some of the headliner tour that we had coming up. And so then we get home, do this headliner tour. And then it kind of blew the wind out of our sails. Once we finished that, we were like, all right, we need to pause for a minute, recollect, figure out what we want to do. And that was middle of summer 2016. And it just kind of dissipated. Like we all kind of were just, I was in the mindset, you know what? At the time, I was 28. I was making no money. There are weeks where I don't even pay my phone bill and don't care if my phone's shut off. I'll just talk to you when I have Wi-Fi. I was at that point, and I'm living with one of my friends in his house. I kind of want to see if I can do something else and like make money and not be so broken. Live in my own place, right?
Yeah.
So we all took a break, started doing our own thing. I moved to Houston because I was living.
I think people should live with each other until they make that commitment, or if that's what they choose to do.
I live with people now. You know what I mean?
People need fellowship. People need each other. Like I don't think I would enjoy living on my own.
No,
I did for a little bit, and it was cool, but like just being by yourself and not talking to anybody.
You just not want to be home.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna go hang out.
Yeah.
And then flash forward. So I moved to Houston. We played 2 more shows in 2017. We did one in Houston and then one in Dallas. Because in Texas, we had good draw. Like we could pull like 600, 700 kids, sometimes 1,000 kids. Shows would do well. And then after 2017, like nothing, right? We all were just kind of on the same page of like, we're not going to do a tour anymore. Like we all have bills now and things like that. Like if I can't make enough to pay my bills, then I can't do it, right? I'm not going to get kicked out of my apartment. I'm kind of like, I was so jaded by all of it. I was like, I actually have no interest in playing music right now.
That sucks.
Right. And I didn't even enjoy going to shows. I couldn't listen to music the same. So I actually want to do a reset and not do any of this so I can love music the way I used to, right? Because I couldn't go to a concert without like thinking about so many other things, all the behind the scenes stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so flash forward to now, it's been 8 years of I didn't even own music equipment. We had over the years kind of talked like, hey, we should maybe do a show or like blah, blah, blah. And we're like, yeah, maybe. And then it would fall through. And then finally, guy who books for the Whiskey A Go-Go in LA hit us up and he was like, hey, I want to book a show out here for you guys as a reunion show. And we were like, kind of all talked about it, like, screw it, let's do it. And that was last summer. We had talked about it and it was supposed to be in January. And we finally had to go buy new music equipment. We got together and practiced. All 5 of us together hadn't been in the same room in 8 years, right? So it was this crazy reunion. Started playing music again. Whoa, this feels nostalgic. This is wild, especially for me. I hadn't touched an instrument in 8 years. All of that was good to go, set in stone. We had this show booked, had flights booked, and then the fires in LA happened. We canceled the show on our end because we just felt like safety-wise and everything that was going on, this is not the appropriate time to be out here like trying to promote and play this show. Like the mood in LA, like people over there have they have shit going on, right? Like we'll just reschedule it. And then so we were like working with the Whiskey, trying to figure out another date. And then we've kind of figured out another date, but then that fell through, right? Like we couldn't come to some agreements on certain things about the next show. So once that was canceled and we knew it was going to be, we're not going to reschedule. Okay, well, we've already gone this far. We should still do a show. So now we're going to play a show on June 20th in Houston at Warehouse Live in Midtown. It used to be old Rise Rooftop. So that is going to be our first show that we've played in 8 years.
Okay.
And it's going to be kind of wild, kind of weird, but we're stoked for it.
As you should be. Yeah.
June 20th. It's a Friday. So nobody has work the next day.
Unless you work in healthcare.
Unless you work in healthcare or retail. So I don't know how the show's going to do. Might do great. Might only be 100 people. However, we don't care. We're doing it simply just to be able to do it. You know what I mean?
How many people live in Houston in the band?
Just me and John. Austin is actually moving to Nashville soon. Aaron lives in Denver and Michael lives in Austin.
Okay.
So like we all have to come together like and practice and try to schedule the practices and like people have to travel for it. But yeah.
Man, that's exciting.
Yeah. It'll be cool.
Like what is everyone's expectation here? Fun,
right? We think we'll do well. You know, Houston's market for this genre of music is kind of diminished. So I've been to some shows and they do okay.
I feel like Houston scene is, unless it's top,
it's not
award music.
Yeah,
like
it's not the same anymore. And I know that, like, you know, growing up listening to the music that we listen to, it's still like my top genre of music I listen to, but like most people we were all in like our late teens, early 20s. Everybody that used to listen to that grew up and got jobs and have families now, and they're like, I don't really go to shows like that anymore.
I bet they would.
But for
Anytime
this, maybe, right? Because we're baking on, we haven't played a show in 8 years. Like, it's one night. We're not going to start touring again. We're not going to start playing shows all the time. We're just doing this one-off just to do it. And it's going to be an extensive show. Like, the original show was supposed to be 2 nights, first album, second album. And we realized, like, that's a lot to do. So this next show is just one night, and it's going to be a blend of both albums. A longer set list than what like would normally be, just because, you know, we haven't played in so long. But I think just because of that, like, people will come out and be like, it's one time. I'm not, you know, a lot of bands right now are doing that. Makes me feel old, but like 20-year anniversary shows. And I'm, my God, I am 36. I was 16 when that album came out.
Speaking of reunion,
Yeah.
or some reunion
Yeah.
shows, Under Oath.
It could not have been better.
That show was so good.
Have been better. When I saw that show coming out, that tour coming out, well, I have to go to that.
Yeah. Anyone that grew up in that time with that music scene and enjoyed Under Oath, even just a little bit,
Yeah. Oh,
you had to go.
That-
And Under Oath was probably the biggest, for me, like one of the biggest bands that I was into at that time.
oh yeah. So for me, like, end of middle school, early high school, like the route I went, everybody kind of falls into that music a different way. And for me, it was
What was the first band that you got into that?
in that genre.
Yeah.
Under Oath.
Oh, okay.
So I used to listen to like The Used, My Chemical Romance. Like, I was that route, like emo. And then I had just moved to this new neighborhood where my mom had built a house, and her boss, her grandson lived in that neighborhood. And so we met. His name was Tyler. And he was into a bunch of stuff. Like, so I would go hang out at his house. He played music. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I had kind of just started like learning how to play music and playing guitar. I hadn't been playing that long. This was the summer. He went to Warped Tour, came home, and he was like, dude, I have to show you this band. And I was like, all right.
That's how it always is. I
And-
got to show you this band.
He was like, check this out. And they bought their album. And so shows me They're Only Chasing Safety. This is 2005, 2004.
Might be before that.
I think it was 2004, like 03, 04.
It might be
in-
3, dude.
So in that era of time. And so he shows me them. And then I start listening to They're Only Chasing Safety. And then I also start listening to their album before that with that song When the Sun Sleeps.
The sun still sleeps.
Right. And I'm just like, holy shit, this band, it like was my segue into metalcore, I guess is what you would call it. So he showed me them, he showed me Every Time I Die, and he showed me As I Lay Dying. But Under Oath was like the one, right? I remember waking up, having to get on the bus early in the morning, and I have like the Walkman CD that doesn't
Every bump.
every bump. And I'm just sitting there with terrible headphones at the time because they didn't make good headphones. And I'm like, just people sitting next to me on the bus, they just hear Spencer screaming through the headphones. And so that's kind of what sparked it for me was Under Oath. And then Under Oath. And then shortly after, like, this was back when you could get home from school and watch Fuse TV.
Fuse.
And they would play music videos. It was like the better version of MTV.
Yeah.
And then I saw Seosin, and it was their live music video of Bury Your Head. Bro, and living in Lafayette, like, they didn't have those albums at the store. So like, I remember in high school, I was like obsessed with Seosin. I had to get my hands on their album. Again, I'm looking at the history of them. They hadn't even put out their self-titled album yet. And it was like some songs were with Anthony Green. And this was back when like Circus Survive was popping up and people were finding out about Anthony Green. And then some new songs are with Cove. I remember I was at this party in high school and I met this girl and she was talking to me. She was like, I have a CD for me with Seosin on it, all their songs. Whoa.
I'm going to steal that.
I took it. I was like, this is mine now. So that was mine. I kept it.
Which is funny because it was always the girls that love Seosin.
Oh, yeah. And then their self-titled album came out,
Yeah.
and I will argue best album ever.
This is post Anthony Green?
Yeah.
Nah, dog.
No,
I'm an Anthony Green dude.
that's fine. But Seosin's self-titled album with the beetle.
Yeah.
My boy Tim, would absolutely back this. You can't beat it. It's front to back, just masterpiece. But so it was like Seosin and Under Oath. And then my very first concert I ever went to, I was a senior in high school, was Seosin, the House of Blues in New Orleans. And I was like, bruh, they're so good. Looking back on it, a lot of people were like, Cove sucks live. I thought he was fine. I don't know. Wasn't paying attention to it, I guess.
You were the magic.
Yeah, it was like Seosin and maybe Norma Jean. Yeah, which I wasn't like the biggest fan of them.
They were okay.
They were
a couple songs.
And then, so that was my first concert. And then a couple months later, this is 2007, Under Oath comes through with Define the Great Line. This was like the second year, is like the end of that cycle.
So that album.
Oh, dude.
So confession, when that album first came out, I hated it.
Dude. I remember this is back in the day, like you had to just rely on leaks. Albums would get leaked and this and that. And like we were riding around in one of our friends' car and they were like, dude, I got Under Oath's leaked album. It's like, we listened to it. How did they do it?
So
how did you not like the very first song?
So let me explain.
Film rolling and just like.
Let me explain. There's always this weird transition that as a listener, I know is my biggest pitfall, is that if something is different, nope, don't like it, you change. So just like you said.
Yeah.
So I hated the album when I first heard it, but after probably 3 weeks, like 3 weeks of listening to it, it was the best album they ever made. Best album.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't care. That's their best album ever made.
Oh, yeah. I figured that out in music, right? There's some bands that this has happened to me too. Like Came as Romans, I was really, really into them. Anytime they would put out new music, at first I don't like it. We'd talk, me and my friends would be like, it's dog shit.
It's dog shit. One like little
and
shit.
The best albums of that like will always become my favorite are like you said, like I don't like it at first. And then I find myself like 3-4 days later, like one of their songs is stuck in my head. Let me go listen again. And then I'm just like,
I know that shit thing I said earlier. By dog shit, I mean pristine heavenly majesty is what I mean.
What I meant was, I'm dog shit. This is awesome. I was clearly not listening to this the first time.
Listening to it, but
I was basically hoping that I would re-listen to the first album.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen with me for Under Oath, right? And Under Oath was one of those bands. After Define the Great Line, they put out another album. I kind of stopped listening to them.
Same.
Define the Great Line.
It was so good. It's a masterpiece.
To compete with that. And now some of their newer stuff I really like. But after that, Survive Kaleidoscope yeah. So that album was okay. I would listen to it, but it's not
Defined.
Once you do Define.
That's hard.
Right? And that's hard.
It's like, damn, we should probably call it quits now.
And that's hard as an artist, right? Because how do I write this new album without thinking too much about the last album? I obviously am tired of playing that because I've been doing it nonstop. And my music taste and my music writing style is going to change as an artist. How do I not think about that album too much while I'm writing this new album? But then how do I not also like disenfranchise the band and like basically abandon our fan base? Like I want to keep fan base, but then also pull new fan base at the same time. Yes, you're going to lose some because some people like us are going to be like, it's not good.
I feel if you really like the band, it might take a couple listen throughs, but you'll go, you know what? I see what they're doing here.
Right. And Under Oath has put out music nonstop. But I was also a huge Aaron Gillespie fan, right? So like Define came out and then he came out with the Almost. And I was like, dude, this guy is...
I liked a couple of their songs.
Oh, that whole album, front to back, Southern Weather, still to this day, I'll put that on and I just get goosebumps. Like he's so incredibly talented. And funny story, last summer, I had already planned on going to this show for Under Oath in Houston. We're in Florida in Destin. And me and my friends are sitting there. And me and one of the girls that was there, like we grew up on the same music, which we talk about all the time. And, you know, it's a niche genre. Like not everybody likes it. Like it's not the music that like, hey, do you want to put anything on? You're like, nah, you will listen to whatever you want. Because I know nobody wants to listen to this. This is for me. Yeah, this is for me. So we're sitting there on the beach and this guy is walking down, tattoos, long red hair. And I'm just like, we're in Destin. This is weird. spot for somebody like that. But here I am. I also am covered in tattoos. Not that crazy, but he just looks different. I'm like watching him. And as he walks by, I look at him and then I look to my left and I look at the girl and we're both like, that was Aaron Gillespie. No fucking way. What the fuck? So we go, was that really him? Blah, blah, blah. And then finally she went and introduced herself because she wanted to like just talk to him.
Yeah.
And super nice guy. It's crazy to meet somebody. I don't really call it a fanboy. He's a person and I respect that. But where I pay my respects is like, dude, you yourself have been so influential on like my whole life in the aspect of not because like your lyrics changed me or anything like that. You didn't get me through a hard time, but had you not put out They're Only Chasing Safety, the band that I was in probably wouldn't have been a band, right? My whole music career wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Butterfly effect, right? So like, I'm looking at this guy. You have put out so much influential music. I've been listening to you for over 20 years. Wild. And then flash forward.
How do you think that makes him feel? That has to be such a...
I don't know, right? Because it's kind of hard when you are so intertwined in it, right? As an artist, and I can only speak from like a small experience because we just put out 2 albums and toured, and I don't know how influential we were to other people.
Well, just put yourself in his shoes.
Well, that's hard, right? Because like for him, he's been doing it so long, it's so normal to him, right? Like this is just what he does. Somebody coming up to us at work as a nurse and being like, oh my God, you're gonna be like, bro, I literally just clock in and clock out. I don't think this is that impressive at all. So for him, like, I'm sure he's like, yeah, I've done a lot of great things, but I could only imagine it would take like stopping, going like 10, 15 years and then looking back on it for him to feel, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm just speaking from personal experience. I don't really look at my accomplishments as anything other than, oh, that was cool, right? Some people, dude, that was amazing. It's good. I'm never like overly zealous on my own achievements. So for him, he might feel the same way, right? He's not doing it to, maybe not thinking about it in the aspect of, oh, I've achieved all these things. He's just, no, I'm just doing what I love, producing music, and I like producing music, and I like, this is just my life, is who I am, right? So for him, it's so normal. I'm sure he's probably looks back and like, yeah, I've done a lot of cool things. I've lived a wild life. It's brought me a lot of success, but yeah, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like, so who knows, right? And
imagine coming up to him as a regular person and not like going, oh my God, you know what I mean? And just coming like, hey, yo, I just want you to know that you might hear this all the time, but from a human being to another human being, your work has paid a lot.
Oh yeah,
paved a big way.
Well, yeah.
Life.
And there's a couple bands in the industry that I feel absolutely paved. There were certain bands would come out that were so unique and just basically opened the gates for other people. I'm going to do that too. Under Oath, influential, paved the way, and then Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah.
Which Bring Me still is letting out music and this and that. And like, I don't know, maybe they'll do anniversary album tours. Dude,
I'm sure they will.
If they do Chelsea Smile.
What is the one song or the one album? It was wild, dude. That album was absolutely wild.
So when that album was coming out, there's all these people, I love this band. I was a bunch of girls like, I like this band. You don't really like this band. You just want to be edgy.
Yeah.
I remember the album cover because it's
like a collage of pictures. It's like, if I remember correctly.
But it's like an aquarium. Count Your Blessings.
Yeah, that album.
Count Your Blessings was like, well, this is heavy.
That was
right?
like,
and they're metal, grindcore, that kind of shit. And then they come out with the next album, Suicide Season, and it was totally different. It was actually produced, you could tell. Like, but from some people, I hate it because it wasn't Count Your Blessings.
It was completely.
They abandoned their fan base to a degree, but it was mature.
Yeah.
And this is awesome. Like when I first heard Chelsea Smile,
yeah,
I'm in. I'm all in. And then I fell in love. And then so I saw that Under Oath show that summer, and then right after that, I saw Bring Me the Horizon. They were touring Suicide Season. Incredible, right? I didn't even care what other bands were on the show. But there was, I remember on that album, they had a guest vocalist, Sam, from Architects.
Architects, yeah.
So Sam from Architects was on Suicide Season, and he's singing in one of their songs. Dude, he's got a great voice. And I knew of them, but I hadn't heard any of their music. And they came out and opened up that show. it is to this day. You know, when you go to a show and you hear a band you've never heard before, it's like not the best way to be introduced to a band. I need to listen to their music, sit down with it. And sometimes you'll be like, oh, they're good, but you only really register one song. Dude, they came out and the whole time, this is my new favorite band. What? This is awesome. The energy, everything. This is insane. And then Architects became another one of like my favorite bands.
Yeah. So whenever, you had that era of this underground kind of screamo scene, I remember being into The Used, My Chemical Romance, Census Fail. Census Fail was the band that got me away from mainstream music.
Yeah.
When I heard Census Fail for the first time, Bloody Romance, the first time I heard that song, what is this? I couldn't understand why I didn't like alternative music or rock music. I couldn't just put my head around what it was.
There's something about it. It just felt...
I mean, now I understand. It's boring. Like, it's just...
Well, it's too... It's not even that it's...
That era,
yeah,
at that time.
It's not even like it's too structured. It's just like it felt like robotic.
Yeah, it was
right?
it's like a merry-go-round.
Yeah. Are you even putting anything into this? Or
I don't think I emotionally connected
making
to it.
money? Like, I'm just going to put out music because I know this will catch people's attention.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there's like a street behind it.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I heard Census Fail, that was the catalyst that got me into this whole screamo scene. And then, of course, you get into The Used, My Chemical Romance. Silverstein was okay.
Yeah, I had like...
They had a couple good songs.
And I was kind of like, that was Census Fail. Like, I liked them, but like...
I only like their EP, the first one that they released, and some of Let It Unfold You.
Yeah.
And then after that, it got me in the scene. But then you start to develop your identity of what you like in music. And then you really start to get really niche, right?
Yeah.
And so I loved Under Oath. I was really into them. But I think after Define the Great Line, I kind of hit this weird lull.
Yeah. You were like,
music.
okay, I'm just going to keep recycling.
Yeah.
Until I find... And
that's the worst part about being really into music, is that there's always these ups and downs of music.
And
right?
then you find a new band you can't stop listening to.
And then you get all their, similar artists. Holy shit.
It's the best thing on Spotify. Spotify is the GOAT for finding new music. I don't care what you say.
So I went to this weird lull, and then what got me, because I always liked Avenged Sevenfold. I always had like this metal. There's something that I just loved about metal, but Census Fail was the closest thing that I could get that was reproducing that.
Yeah.
Under Oath, I just loved him because I just it was something emotionally I connected to by the way Aaron was singing and Spencer screaming. It was almost this internal conflict that you were always you're just emotionally, you're singing because I'm feeling this, but then you're just feeling.
Yeah. And I always laugh. People are like, they're like, I don't get the screaming. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't know what they're saying. I'm okay. For me, like, listening to music, I've never really been one to even listen to lyrics anyway. It's melody, it's the song. And then to me, screaming is almost an instrument. Like, I can register some things that are saying, depending on who the vocalist is. But it's really more about like the cadence and like things that like blend with the song, right? Some people, they have to listen to music for lyrical content.
And I think then hip hop is probably like real hip hop artists, real MCs are probably your way to go then. If you
Yeah, absolutely.
But I went to this weird lull where I was kind of listening to music, but I was half-assing it with what I liked. But then the band that really got me into the music that I really enjoy today was two bands. Veil of Maya and Born of Osiris.
Right.
When I heard those two, their first album, I was going, this is it. No, this is what I like.
This is what I've been looking for.
Yeah, like the
second you heard it, it just registered with you.
Yeah. And you never knew what it was that you needed to hear.
Yeah.
But when you hear like, no, this is it. This is it.
It's kind of like being hungry and nothing's hitting the spot, and then you taste pizza for the first time. You're like, who invented this?
Who invented this?
Give them the Nobel Peace Prize. No, I absolutely understand that. And see, everybody...
All Sumerian.
Right. Sumerian Records. For me...
Both from Chicago.
I never really got into that genre, right? Like, so everybody has their own taste, and it's just what registers with you, right? I can appreciate them. Veil of Maya, I don't even know if I could recognize a song by them.
I'll send you their first album.
Born of Osiris. So I thought they were good. Where I like was like, it's another moment where like I'd heard some of their stuff. I was like, yeah, it's okay. Like, and then I saw them live, and I was like,
yeah,
dude.
And they sound just like they do on the album live.
How do you do that? Because I know bands that have way more simple music that can't pull off their album live, right?
They're not
and just
I mean, they are, but
they are. But some people just write an album in a studio and without thinking, can I do this live? But they sound incredible, and it was in their hometown show because they're from Chicago. Absolutely insane. The only band in that kind of fits in that that I really got into, which their music is nothing anymore, but their first album to me was kind of similar to that, was The Word Alive.
I have to go listen to them because I never even.
Dude, their first album is similar to that vibe. They had keyboard player, structured but not structured. Their breakdown patterns. I remember back when we would write, the way people would write breakdowns is like you'd roll dice and like 3, 5, 1, 6, right? Like come up with a number, and that was your chug pattern. So it'd be like 3, and then 1. That's how you'd write your breakdowns.
Is that how people did it?
That's how some people would do it.
Holy shit!
Especially for like the choppy ones. But yeah, they were. It's crazy when you go down that path of all the bands you've listened to and the bands you've liked. There's so many over the years.
It's impossible to name them off the top of your head.
Impossible, right? I struggle to name some of the big ones just trying to think about it.
So many.
But yeah, I absolutely understand what you're saying. Where certain bands just register with you more. That's how it was for me with Architects, right? Like I know a lot of people that didn't really like them. You're crazy because they're so good. And I liked so many different aspects of that genre because there was so many blends of it, right? So I loved Icy Stars, which they're more pop, and I love pop music, right? Growing up as a kid, like the one band I loved the most was NSYNC. I love structured radio pop. When we were writing our first album, when we would tour, the number one album that Myka listened to while we were riding in our van was Katy Perry's fucking big album.
It's fun.
It's so good. If you really like are understanding music and structure and writing and melody, that whole thing, it beat Michael Jackson in certain records, right? It was so good. Obviously,
Really?
Very commercial, right? Clearly, they just had some of the top producers just producing this music, but there's a science behind it, right? Go listen to like Justin Bieber, like love metal, but then you'll catch me listening to some Biebs. Yeah. Because it's good.
Yeah.
You can't.
A lot of stuff he was doing in 2015, I think I liked. Yeah, a lot.
Incredible, right? Yeah. That album, Believe?
I don't know the albums. There's songs I'm.
Dude. I don't know if I think that's the name of the album, but that song is on there. But yeah, and so now for me, it's hard to find new music. There's a lot of bands out there.
Saturated too.
Saturated, and everybody's trying to do their own thing. And again, I'm just recycling old music until I hear that one band that I'm like, dude, they're so good.
Yeah.
I haven't found them yet. Architects just put out new music and it's absolutely incredible. Love it. Won't stop listening to it. But my taste is like, I used to hate country and now I'm starting to kind of get into country because a lot of the guys that were in that metalcore genre switched over and started doing country, right? So they bring that element of writing style to country. Not that it's heavy country other than you got Hardy, who's awesome. But you can tell when you listen to him because he's metal, country, his entire upbringing. I haven't seen it in interviews or anything like that, but I can just tell by listening to his music. He used to listen to the stuff that we listen to. He's got Jeremy from A Day to Remember on one of his songs. And that's where he comes from. Like,
you just don't, it's very,
I wouldn't be surprised if he's from Mississippi, if he was at one of our shows in Mississippi. Right? Like, that's just what he grew up on. And then started writing country because it also resonated with where he grew up from, which I think is really cool that country's kind of starting to get into that like rock style as opposed to like Brad Paisley. Things like that. That's not my ish. But again, like couldn't tell you the last artist that I discovered and I was not going to stop listening to this for the next like 7 months. Like already can tell.
One of my favorite bands I feel has been putting out legitimate albums that have essentially stayed true with little changes with every album, right?
Yeah.
Because people change. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago.
Right. You're also not going to sing about the same things you were singing about in 2016.
Yeah. Unless you're just singing it like you're some Viking band. Periphery, I feel, has from their first album to all the way to Reptile now.
Yeah.
They've just have been so consistent with, even though their sound changes, you can tell that they don't just be, I'm putting these riffs together and that's it. They're literally
thought out.
sitting down.
Periphery is really good. I like their music a lot. They've put out some incredible music. Another one of those bands.
Dude.
It's another one of those bands where that has always intrigued me is when these breakdown patterns and the structure of the song is so where are we going? It's like math rock almost, right?
Yeah. It's like commercialized math metal.
So that style of music is super popular in Germany.
It kind of
heavy math rock, super popular in Germany.
Not like Psyopus or like Primus.
No Buckethead.
Jerry was a race car driver.
But it's so funny because like, so when we did that tour with the Browning, they were, I guess, decently sized in the States, but they would go to Germany and play these festivals and their crowd would be like 50,000 people. It was stupid. It's huge there. And so, but there's this one band, I was waiting to tell you about this band on the podcast. You need to go listen to if you haven't heard them. The band names that they come up with are really funny. Like there's a band from Germany called We Butter the Bread with Butter. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're metal.
I want to say I have, but I could be having a Mandela effect.
It's a ridiculous band name. Do you know what that means in America? Like maybe you're being silly. Maybe you're being silly, goofy. But this one band, they're so heavy and it's just nonstop breakdowns. It's my favorite thing ever. It's a band called Breakdown of Sanity.
Breakdown of Sanity.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude, when I first heard that, this is awesome. My friend was, wait, here comes another one. I was like, more breakdown.
You've heard of Lorna Shore, right?
Yeah.
Some of their breakdowns from one chug to the next is so long, but if you just bob your head,
it goes.
You're still with it.
Well,
how does
that
happen?
Some of the people that like I was friends with back home, like they didn't listen to our style of music, and they would come out to our shows, and they were like, "Bro, it's kind of weird that like, that all they would listen to is like rap and hip hop." They were like, "It's kind of it reminds me of like rap and hip hop with like breakdowns and like the bass drops." You know, and they were like, "I like it."
I know, dude.
And I was like, telling you, I've always said, always, right? So this genre of music never got like commercially popular. And I blame radio.
Absolutely.
Because they would put out bands, it's the screaming, everyone's the screaming. I was like, you say that, but there are bands out right now, and this is like early 2000s, before 2010, like Taproot and shit like that. They had screaming, but they would put out these bands on the radio. I was like, if you just shoved this genre in people's faces and put it on the radio, people would probably be like, I like
sponsors.
And a lot of it also comes from radio makes money off of the endorsements, right? Because they can say, well, at this hour, we have this many listeners. And what's keeping these listeners is these bands like Stained and Taproot and Breaking Benjamin, right? Like
that was it. Those were the bands right there that turned
good.
Yeah, this is style. Yeah,
but so they wouldn't put on something like A Day to Remember or Under Oath or Bring Me the Horizon or anything like that, because they're like, if we put that on, it's taking a risk. People might change the station and then our numbers drop, and then we're not going to get Budweiser to pay us to put their commercial on, right? So I blame radio 100% because they can influence the mass opinion.
Right.
Which blew my mind because you cannot, it's not like this genre is like this weird, obscure, like not good music, right?
It's really not obscure.
It's really not. It's not. There's structure to it. You can follow it. There's lyrical content. There's melody. Maybe some, like, it'd be a little bit more of a push where they're just like straight deathcore. Like, that's probably not going to.
Yeah, like Lorna Shore probably is not going to.
No. Okay. But then you also have like bands that were huge in the metal world, Killswitch Engage.
Yeah.
They were on the radio. People loved them.
Were they on the radio?
Yeah. In LA, right? But like, they're popular. Okay. Huge band. One of the most successful metal bands of all time. Slipknot. They're on the radio.
Yeah.
People love them.
Yeah.
You're telling me Slipknot can be on the radio, but We Came as Romans wouldn't do well?
It's weird.
Or people would probably love Attila with their lyrical content. Like, people like that.
I know where you were going with this. I wouldn't be surprised if earlier you were saying like there's a rhythm to it. Yeah, you were going somewhere with that.
Well, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if like more people would be into it if they were exposed to it.
Yeah.
Right? Other than like the only exposure they have to it is like
some guy,
the weird emo guy that they know is like, listen to this music. They're like, bro, no, look at you.
Look at you.
I mean, I was like that in high school. Like dude, if I showed you my high school yearbook, my senior year photo, you'd be like,
you went full.
Oh, dude, I'm pulling it up. I think everybody has to see it. It's too good to not share, because the way I look now is so vastly different. Definitely had a glow up, but at the time,
you were a scene kid.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to do scene so hard, but I was like, nah, I'm just scared.
Like,
I had curly hair, man. I couldn't do it.
I straightened it. straighten my hair. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to do what I have to do because like in a small town like Lafayette, Louisiana, like I was like one of like 5 seeing kids. But like you go to Houston, like, and we had to wear like uniforms to school. You go to bigger cities, like they're everywhere. So it like wasn't that like obscure and nobody like you're exposed to so many people. You're not going to be like, what is that? You're like, yeah, whatever. Like people just do what they want to do.
I can't tell you. So while you're doing that, I can't tell you how many people that have listened to.
Are you ready for this?
Oh, you skunked it.
Skunked it. That went from the front to the back. Yeah. That's a young 17-year-old Joshua. And I remember my mom was so mad because that's what my hair looked like for my yearbook photo for my senior year. There was one time like I got rid of the blonde stripe and it was just straight black. And one of the teachers like came and like tried to pull my hair off because she thought it was a hat because it was so like, and that's when I knew. I was like, I think it's time to move on. And I basically shaved my head to get rid of all the black.
Well,
I've had some interesting hairstyles growing up. And now I just kind of rock regular hair.
just like a regular dude.
The less I have to do, the better.
You look like you put it. You have good hair. You look like you put a lot of work into it.
None. I wet it and forget it.
To go back to the like exposure to music, I can't tell you how many people that that only strictly listen to hip hop. That when I put on like a Veil of Maya or something that has that you get the rhythm like groove metal,
Right?
I hear that and they're going, "Holy shit! Like what is this?"
Groove metal's awesome. It's so like when you're never heard this band before and they're like, let me show you this music video or let me show you this like live performance, and some slightly overweight guy with a beard comes out with an 8-string guitar. Oh,
It's about to go down.
I'm about to lose my mind.
Yeah, we're gonna fucking hospital.
Oh, dude. The way his fingers are about to move is going to soothe my brain. And I'll fall into those traps on TikTok where there's those guys that like just play like groove metal riffs and like their production is great. Like they have great footage, but like close-ups of, I'm like, bro, I got short, fat fingers. I can't even, I struggled with a 6-string guitar. How you stretching across 8 strings or like an 8-string bass?
What?
Do you needle? It's stupid. There was a band that we toured with. Wasn't like this per se, but like they would do obscure things like that. Sworn In.
Never heard.
Did you ever listen to Sworn In?
I've seen albums. I've seen the name.
Look up Sworn In. We got into this conversation at work where I was like, classic rock? It's mostly dog shit to me. Right? Oh, he's the best guitar player. He's so good. Okay. I can appreciate it for being that at the time, right? Like you didn't have an influence before. When Jimi Hendrix came out, obviously, bro, he invented guitar, essentially, right? But then less palpable, sure. The talent that guitar players, guys in Sworn In and like some of these metal bands have, you don't understand. Jimi Hendrix walked so these people could run and they're flying. Polyphia.
Yeah.
The guys, both their guitar players, like we used to know them coming up. They're a Dallas band, so like we all would hang out with them. I used to be friends with their bass player, who's also fucking incredible. They were classically trained growing up. They played classical guitar, so that translates into like how they
Buried in Me and stuff like that.
Dude, what's crazy about Between the Buried and Me? So the first guy we recorded with demos, his name's Drew Falk. Huge. He's a like great producer in LA now. Like he's killing it. Super awesome guy. He was friends with the drummer of Between the Buried and Me. But they were talking about Paul, their guitar player, and like him coming up, you'd listen to him playing guitar and you'd be like, oh, he must be practice all the time.
He went to
like,
Berkeley, didn't he?
Someone
went to Berkeley.
That part
like,
I don't know. Oh, it was their other guitar player. One of them did, right? Paul, on the other hand, from what I was read about and told, he should not be as good as he is because he practices a couple times a week for maybe an hour.
Some people are just talented.
It's called being a savant. And Paul from Between the Buried and Me is a savant. And they're, to me, like, I've always compared them. They're like the metal, today's modern age metal version of Queen.
I was going to say Beatles, but yeah.
Well, they're prog rock, right?
Yeah.
Queen would put out these like obscure songs and you're like, whoa, that's what Between the Buried and Me does. I saw them in Denver when they did the reunion of Colors and they played it front to back. Stupid. But like,
that's a Beatles album.
But like the most random shit would come up in songs. You'd be like, oh, is that?
They did not care.
What? what instrument is that? Am I hearing ukulele or whatever?
Is that a saxophone?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah. There's just so many different genres now with music. You said it earlier, like you can go and listen to other music and enjoy it. And I definitely feel like I'm a music head because I can do that. And it's even that way for even very specific types of music you hear in metal. There's
Right.
so many different subgenres of, you can listen to one metal band and then another, and you're just going, that sounds completely different.
So different.
Not even the same thing whatsoever. And it's just crazy how,
Right. And then you're saying like, you'll kind of branch off. You're always going to come back home.
you always come back home.
And Spotify knows what I like with their like curated playlist that they come up with. Like,
So the only thing I like about Spotify is they always just play the first song on the album. That I noticed that they do. If you're doing like a unless you're making your own playlist.
so I have my own playlist, and then it starts changing the more you like different songs,
Gotcha.
right? Like you hit like, it's gonna okay. I'm gonna add that.
Sworn in.
Sworn In's a good one. Shout out to the homies in Sworn In.
Yeah.
Their music's so good, and he's a piece.
Kind of like the singer of As I Lay Dying.
Sorry, Tim. Yee. But right. Super talented. I was telling you about this. Like I loved As I Lay Dying, and he produced and recorded their music, and I'll go back and listen to an album they put out in 2003 and compare the quality of that recording to other albums out in 2003. And these other bands, clearly technology wasn't on their side with like, how good it sounds, because those albums that he would produce can still stand to like, the quality of production today.
Yeah.
He just knew what he was doing. He knew exactly how to do it. And to me, that also makes an album, right? You could love an album, but if it sounds shitty just because they didn't record it well, it wasn't a good mix, or it wasn't.
We're just talking about him. From Chelsea Smile.
Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, from that first album.
Count Your Blessings. You recorded this on a couch in a shed.
Yeah.
And the next one was, you went
Like
you went to a big studio.
Yeah. This is crisp. Wow.
Crisp.
They really liked your shit.
And I'm big on like, as you get further into music and start recording music and things like that, you become what's known as an audiophile.
Audiophile, I was about to say.
And I'm big on, this is a really good produced album. It sounds good. They've got a lot of production in it. And production, if you have a good album with good production, you almost don't even notice that the production is there.
Yeah. For example, this album right here,
Okay.
New Rain.
Yeah.
That was their first released album, Born of Osiris.
And
And then they did they basically re-recorded
Remastered
it, and remastered. And I can't
World
go back
difference.
I can't go back and listen.
Why would you? It sounds mushy.
Yeah.
There's too much going on.
There's some stuff that I appreciate more from the original. Like because they did like little slight tweaks. and
Changes.
everything,
Yeah.
But the quality is just night and day.
Dude, speaking of changes, that, because I'm OCD, would drive me nuts when I would see bands live. And when we toured, we have to play it exactly like the album. Some people appreciate it, but if I saw a band live and they changed one of the songs a little bit, or the singer sang a certain line in a different melody than what was recorded,
Because it was too high
or what have you, or he's just trying to be artistic on the spot,
why'd you do that?
you just
Ruined my night.
you just gave me blue balls. I hate you for that. I'm not coming back. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? You know who didn't do that, but tweaked all of their songs to fit so well? Under Oath.
Talking about that show?
Yes, dude. I was wondering, because they were like, it's going to be the whole album. And I'm like, well, how are they going to play that one song? Right? Like the Jesus song.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
That was
he
way
starts
better than the
singing.
original.
I had chills. Him on the couch, and I was just sitting there. The fact that you figure out how to do it like that,
It was a whole production, dude.
with the couches and the lights.
It's
and,
one thing to go out there and just play your music, but then usually I'd be, don't do the whole production, but maybe people should be doing this more. Maybe you should be doing.
Dude, one of the first bands I saw like in our genre with like good production was Norma Jean. Didn't love them, but like they had these like light towers. I don't know if you ever seen it. Look it up on YouTube, Norma Jean Light Towers. I love Brand New. I like Fall Out Boy
Even
too.
as much as they changed, they're so good.
I liked Fall Out Boy. Everybody really hyped them up, and I was like, I mean, they're good. Like they're on the radio. I was more of like a Panic at the Disco fan.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were.
I'm still a Panic at the Disco fan to this day. I think Brendan Urie is also just a genius at writing music. And if you go listen to each one of their albums, different era of music that he's like paying homage to, right? There's one that's like 80s synth pop. There's a song called Colorful. So good. And then the next album was Death of a Bachelor, which is like more like homage to like the Rat Pack, like that style of music with orchestra behind it.
Okay.
Also,
what is that album called?
Really good. It's called Death of a Bachelor.
Bachelor?
I believe that's the name of the album. So like Fall Out Boy, I get why they were so popular. And I've seen them live.
I think they're overrated. I mean, they're good. They're good. I just don't think that they're hyped up.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just, you could put them on. Like, it's not going to be my go-to.
Yeah. I'll definitely sing along.
You can't not, right? It's very overproduced music. Yeah. And I was just not that whole genre of music. And even like getting into like where everybody went the Under Oath route or the Mayday Parade route, right? Like I never got into We the Kings and Forever the Sickest Kids. And that was a whole genre of Warped Tour as well. Like it wasn't my thing. Like I just didn't like it.
Yeah. No, Under Oath is one of the goats. One of the goats. I wouldn't be listening to the music I listened to today without Under Oath.
The music you listen to probably wouldn't have been made.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? It's not that they just got me into that. It's that they were so influential in starting something that had never been done before.
Yeah.
And I wonder, did y'all even realize y'all were doing that at the time? Or was it just kind of...
I think it's more of a hindsight thing. You're so caught up, when you're looking back with all the things that you were stressed out about, or that you should have been as a mid-30-year-old man, should have been stressed out about. You weren't stressed out about time. You're not thinking about it. You're thinking about like just putting the best show together and doing your best, right? And then looking back and seeing the ramifications of those actions.
Well, and the other thing about that is, I've heard this before, he was talking about, you could think you could write 10 songs, right? You could, well, this is the best song. But you don't really get to decide that, right? The fans get to decide that. And they were talking about, and this is when TikTok was blowing up, they were talking about, we wrote the song, we didn't even, and then here we are years later, and it's now a huge song because people caught on to it and they're like, we love this. Like they get to decide. So like Earth could have put all that out, and if it didn't catch on, you know what I mean? Like they didn't choose.
That was Stephen King in The Stand when he wrote The Stand.
Oh, really?
He said he didn't even care for the book.
Yeah.
He was just like, that's actually not my favorite book at all.
Right.
It ended up being like his biggest seller. He's like, what?
Right. Like, but, and then, so like we coined this term, like when we were touring, like there were certain bands that like we absolutely loved, but they were not big. And we called them, like bands for bands. Right?
Yeah.
Like they're a musician's band, right?
Yeah.
So we're all musicians. So like we are hearing it differently than like we think they're so good, but the average person who doesn't write music and is just there to consume, they're not going to hear it the same that we are. So it's not going to hit for them the way it hits for us. Like Our Last Night, in my opinion, in the beginning was that they were a band's band. They were fairly successful prior to doing like what they do now, which is covers. But I loved them, that they weren't the biggest band and they had been grinding forever. It wasn't until they started doing covers, metal covers of these pop radio songs, that it caught on for them. And so people started coming out to their shows, but are they coming out to their shows to actually hear their music or just hear the music that they recreated? But again, musicians band, they're writing music on a just different level.
And I wonder if that is the reason why we like the music we listen to.
Probably.
Like it takes a very, it's like an acquired taste. It takes a keen ear to hear what you're hearing. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why most people are like, well, we can't play A Day to Remember 94.5, or we just can't do it.
Because they're not going to like this. Which is why a lot of the people that I hang out with, probably, they don't listen to that music. They're like, I don't get it. I'm like, well, it's because you don't play guitar and you don't write music and you don't record and you don't understand all of the things behind it. You're just looking for simple.
Yeah.
Something that you can sing along to. To me, it's when people listen to lyrical content. If I try to listen to lyrical content, I don't relate to any of this because he's singing about an experience for himself. I haven't been through that. I can kind of relate to a piece of what you're saying, but through and through, I don't resonate with what you're saying at all.
Yeah. I think when I listen to lyrics, I kind of put myself in a situation, or at least imagine a situation that they're going through.
Right.
Like an applicable thing.
And that's the thing too. Like, oh, dude, I hated this in high school, and we'd have to sit there and read poetry and then try to like break down what is the meaning behind this. You're just making shit up. Right. Like
we're so obscure.
Right. We're trying to apply meaning that might not even be what they were meaning.
They were talking about what they were going to eat for dinner. You
Right.
think they're trying to figure out some philosophical problem.
Right.
Like, I'm just trying to eat.
Right. Right. And I hated that because I'm like, who are you to like determine what they were trying to say? Did you interview them?
But that's the beauty. I think that's the beauty of it, right? Or at least that's what.
It's your interpretation.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's what music is. It's for your interpretation, which is cool.
Yeah.
But my interpretation is, does this shit hit?
Yeah.
Am I going to bob my head? What does the music sound like?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully at this upcoming show that you have, people will feel the hit. People will bob the head.
I hope so.
Maybe some crip walking.
If I see somebody crip walking in the crowd, I'm going to lose my mind. It's going to be you, isn't it? You can't confirm nor deny.
If you see it, I'm going to deny it. Someone's going to have to catch it.
I'm just going to have to wear a camera on my head.
The whole time you're not moving, you'll be walking this way.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping the show is good. Even if the turnout isn't as amazing as we think. We're really not doing it for any other reason than we just want to play a show.
That's what's up, dude.
Right? That's it. We just want to have fun. And that's all that matters.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Thank you for coming by.
Dude, it was awesome.
Where can they find you again?
So find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify.
Find who?
Myka Relocate. Myka. Relocate. Very easy. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, the works. We haven't put out an album since 2015, so or new music.
But you have something.
We have albums.
I can cut that out if you don't want me to.
No, but we have music. Yeah. I mean, and it still stands to today, you know? It's not, oh, wow, that's so dated.
No. Yeah. I mean, you could, that stuff. If you like that kind of music,
you're going to like it.
You're going to like the music.
If you're a fan of Seosin, you'll like us.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what's up.
All right.